I know that you've been unwell, so
Jeff,
how are you?
Jeff, I'm not crazy. I'm just a little unwell.
I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell.
Are you recording?
Maybe.
Fantastic. I have a little bit of Matchbox 20 to sync the audio to.
you might have 4 minutes of me rambling to
You
mess
fucker.
with first. It was one of those days.
Jesus Christ.
You're welcome. Except not you're welcome, because we're not here talking about being welcome, Christopher. We're talking about the other side of welcome. We're talking about what you should say to me right now, which is thank you.
Thank you.
How was that for a transition into Thanksgiving?
That was a really good transition, but what am I thanking you for?
For the 4 minutes of my rambling that you have to edit through now.
I'm thankful that you came up with the topic this week, Jeff. How about that?
I'll take it. Thank you. That actually was nice. So let's actually just jump right in here and let's explain. And I'm actually going to give you, because I didn't explain to you my whole train of thought here. I apologize. I am messing with my audio a little bit here because I am like spiking for some reason.
What are you spiking? You spiking the tea?
No, that's not. No.
I'll put a little whiskey in there. We're celebrating the holidays. In fact, if those of you at home would get a little stuffed on food, get tired, put the phone out of reach so that when we bore you, you can't turn us off because you're really lazy. Have a few extra cups of wine that'll make the show better. And then I'll be thankful for your view minutes.
Oh,
like, comment, subscribe.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jeff, and welcome to the Sound Judgment Podcast,
where every episode we'll be discussing all of the important musical topics, from reviews to which member of Motley Crue is the most vile.
I'm gonna judge the officials. I'm gonna judge all the judges. It's gonna take you people years to recover from all my opinions. Here's where I got to our topic, okay? And again, this is gonna sound a little hypocritical because we're on a podcast called Sound Judgment. Like, the whole point is we're being judgmental, right?
Yeah.
We are both full of unpopular opinions and hot takes and whatnot, which I'm all on board for. Like, I'm up for a good discussion of something. Here's what I can't stand, though. I can't go on to Reddit without being flooded with threads of, what's your hot take on this? What's your unpopular opinion on this? What's your hot take on this? Or that meme that's, give me an opinion of yours that would put you in this situation, and it's Flynn Rider from Tangled with all the swords at his throat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for if you have an unpopular opinion in the context of a conversation that already exists. I cannot stand the current trend of just, here's a conversation that is nothing but people trying to upset other people effectively. Because half the time when people post their unpopular opinions, all they're really doing is just coming out and saying, oh yeah, the new Zelda game sucks. And like, that's the full thought, right? There's no more context, nothing else to it. Just, oh yeah, I hate this thing that is popular. So that got me thinking that I kind of wanted to talk about basically the opposite of this. Now, we're going to stray from it, but my original idea was basically what are unpopular opinions, but they're positive ones. And I'm going to lead off with the example that I gave you, right? I think we can both agree, and within our circles of friends, I think we can all agree that I don't know much of anybody who actually likes the band Five Finger Death Punch. We are not the target audience for that band. They're a little too army bro for me or basically anyone else I know, right?
Right.
But here's my unpopular opinion, is that we need to talk about their lead guitar more. Specifically for most of the band's career, their lead guitarist was a man named Jason Hook, who is probably the most interesting modern hard rock lead guitar player out there. I don't know if you've ever heard their covers of Bad Company or Gone Away, the Offspring song.
I've heard the cover of Gone Away, for sure.
You don't know their Bad Company cover? Because it's legitimately awesome. Like, it is so good. As someone who grew up listening to the band Bad Company, like, they are my dad's favorite band of all time. The original song Bad Company is a fine song, but it has one of the lamest guitar solos imaginable. in the Five Finger Death Punch cover of this dude's guitar solo is a goddamn work of art. He is genuinely incredible, and I do not think he is given the credit he deserves in the guitar community, because he's in a band that is mostly unpopular among these types of circles, right?
Yeah.
So that was my thought. Like, I want to talk about things like that. Again, we're gonna stray from it, but I love these, like, I want to talk about things that aren't talked about enough, maybe.
Okay.
But I want positive ones.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, do you want me to bring up another one, or do you have any ideas? I know you did say you were struggling, which is totally fine. It is a kind of a weird topic to dig into.
So I want you to start. I do think I have a couple, and I think I actually have some reasonably good ones. I don't know that I followed the prompt properly, but
I didn't even follow my own prompt properly. A few of mine totally just stray off into randomness, and that's fine. Like, I'm not super worried about it.
But I do think I can start all of them with "I am thankful for blank." So I think that's good enough.
You know what? That's a great start. I'll take it. As long as a couple of mine are gonna fit into again, that was my jumping off point. That's what made me think of I want to be thankful for things that we probably don't talk about. Because, like, yeah, I can sit here and say I'm thankful for insert stuff I talk about all the time. Surprise! I'm thankful that I own Jeff Buckley's discography. Nobody gives a shit.
Jeff, I'm thankful for old record crackles. As long as they don't skip, they add personality.
I actually genuinely agree with that. And
I don't know if that's a hot take, but that's my opinion. I was just going to say,
I don't know if that's popular or not, because the problem is, if you go on to, like, vinyl collecting groups now, it's mostly filled with people who are, like, veering towards the audiophile realm, and they're going for, they're really worried about it needs to be a 180 gram and all this whatever, and they're getting, like, new pressings of things, whereas, and we've mentioned this before, I'm sure, my philosophy on listening to music frequently is I will buy music on the format that it was relevant on when it was released. And I listen in all my equipment, like I'm sitting here staring at my stereo setup, which is a record player, a Technics record player from the 70s, Pioneer speakers from the late 70s or early 80s. But I also have, like, a Sony CD player from the mid 90s. I have a Panasonic cassette player from, that has to be mid 80s probably. Right? And if I'm going to buy a record from the 70s, I love owning that on vinyl. And if possible, I would love owning one, like, not a reprint. I want one from the 70s, played on 70s equipment. It feels more real to me that way, flaws and all, right? Like, I love listening to some albums on cassette. Yes, cassette is, by all accounts, really inferior in most ways, but there's just something about listening to music off of a stereo system, off a cassette, that just feels legitimate to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm 100% on board. If I'm putting on one of my, like, if I'm putting on Sinatra or Coltrane or something, I want those crackles.
Oh, you want a little crackle on that?
I do. It feels very home to me. I love that kind of thing.
All right, so that was a softball, but so now
beautiful.
It's your turn.
That's a great one though. I love that.
Okay, awesome.
Here's a weird one. All right, so follow me for a second here. First off, I don't know. Do you know who Loewe is?
No.
Have you? Okay, so it's Laufey, but as far as I'm aware, her name is pronounced Loewe. I think she's Icelandic. Anyway, she kind of came out of the TikTok world, right? Like, during quarantine, basically. No, listen to me. During, like, quarantine, it was just, she's a musician. I want to say she was studying music. Like, she is a very talented individual. But she would just, like, sit with a keyboard or a guitar and post covers on TikTok, and they did really well. And next thing you know, she has, like, 2 albums out, and she's great. She's very jazz influenced. Like, she's very, like, soft vocal jazz sounding in a lot of her stuff. She does covers of some great jazz standards. Like, her recording of Misty is just absolutely beautiful. I love it. And she has one of those, like, deep, sultry alto voices. She's wonderful. I really am learning to like her lately. So the other day, it was like a week ago or so, I'm sitting in the living room, girlfriend's still asleep, her daughter's still asleep. It's just me and the cat, and I have my headphones on, and I'm just hanging out in the living room. It's quiet, it's still dark outside, and I'm listening to Loewe, and she has a song called Serendipity on her album Bewitched from earlier this year. And it comes on, and it has that feeling of, to me, like it's like she sat down to write this song, and in my head, the way I'm thinking of it is, I just learned the meaning of this word, so now I need to use it in a song. Right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I love those songs that just feel like you just learned what this word means, and now you need to use it. Looking at you, Cumbersome. Who wrote that? Who wrote Cumbersome?
Is that 7 Mary 3?
I never remember. But I am thankful for those songs. And I think anyone knows what I mean. Where the song is centered around one, like a vocab word. And it's like they were excited to share that they know this word.
That was their word of the day.
It just makes me so happy. Anytime I come across a song like that, I just get like a chuckle out of it. Just like, this one word seems so out of place in this song, and sometimes it's a little annoying, but for the most part I think it's really endearing, and I think it's fun. So I am thankful for songs that sound like they were based on a vocab word.
Should make that a playlist.
I actually really should. That's a great idea. Do you have another one, or do you want me to keep going?
Jeff, my last one was kind of a soft pitch. This one might be a little bit more of a curveball, but it's the justification behind it that I think is important.
Okay, I'm listening.
I am thankful for the album Saint Anger.
Go on.
Because it is a shit album, but I think it kept Metallica together, and I think having Metallica as an active band is a net positive, regardless of what people say.
I mean, considering the fact that my favorite of their work came after Saint Anger, I'm gonna have to agree with that statement. In the event that Saint Anger, like if Saint Anger didn't exist, the band would have broken up, I do think that would have been the worst scenario, because their best work as of yet was Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and I will still stand by that.
Well, okay, but even if you're a purist and you don't necessarily agree with that train of thought, I just think that them existing is still, they're still influencing people. They're still,
yes,
promoting on some, like, they're obviously not, they're not promoting like new bands, but they're giving attention to bands that are like on the verge of breaking out into the mainstream and stuff like that. I think in general it is just better for them to be around than not.
Yeah, I think saying it's a net positive is a good way to put it. I think the fact that they haven't broken up as a band, that they are still relevant 40 years, has it been 40 years yet? I don't know when their first album was out.
1983.
Okay, so they've been around for 40 years. I think the fact that they're still around 40 years later is generally a net positive. Like, that's a good one.
And I'll honestly, I'll extend that to a lot of bands, even ones that I don't like. If you're still going after 40 years, like promoting music and stuff like that, that's a net positive.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a good one. I think just the general topic of just like, you have been doing this for decades and you are continuing to do it well. Like, that is a good thing in this world. Like, that is benefiting. Again, we're going to go back to our year in review last year, where I had the category of old dudes rockin', right?
Yeah.
Like, that is a net positive in the world, I think. Even if you don't love the newest material, it is still just cool and inspiring, I think, to see these guys who are just like, oh yeah, they've been doing it for 35, 40, 45, 50 years, and they're still doing it. And that's just awesome.
Yeah, you know what? It's the season of giving, so I'm even going to say thanks, Dream Theater, for keeping James LaBrie out of other bands.
Oh, come on. I think of them all the time because they're one of the ones that makes me feel hypocritical, because like, here I am saying we should be thankful for things. Meanwhile, we did a whole episode about why we hate Dream Theater. But to go back, no. To go back to what I was saying though, the whole point of that episode was we were trying to figure out why we didn't like Dream Theater.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was like an analysis. And I think that is significantly more interesting than just going on a Reddit thread and saying Dream Theater fucking sucks. Like, that is bringing nothing to the conversation.
I will even, I guess, in some way concede to my own point that I don't like Dream Theater, but it's probably a net positive that they're still going after all these years.
I mean, and considering the fact that some really good friends of mine are huge Dream Theater fans, their excitement over Mike Portnoy getting back in the band was just like actually really fun and endearing to watch.
Yeah, it's infectious in a way.
There were so many posts on like Facebook and Instagram from good friends of mine who were just like, "The GOAT is back!" Like it was fun to watch. I really couldn't care less either way, but it was still fun to watch.
All right, Jeff, give me your next one.
Chris, I'm thankful that Creed is going on tour next year, August 3rd in Pittsburgh. It's a Saturday night. Oh my god, I'm so psyched. I only threw that in because you were afraid I was going to and I had to, but god, I'm genuinely going. Because unironically, I love Creed.
I was gonna say the joke was that I said was that is this just you trying to defend Nickelback and Creed yet again?
I'm not defending Nickelback. I have Nickelback nowhere in my notes here. But the fact that you called me out on it, I had to mention that Creed is in fact going on tour again. And I unironically love Creed. I think they were a really great band. However, I did see them when they did that reunion tour in 2008, and I will be honest, it was not a good show. It was bad. It was very bad. But I do have high hopes. I do think that I think it's going to be a good show. And it is August next year. It's a Saturday night. Like, I have every intention of going, and I'm genuinely excited about it.
I'm excited for your excitement, and I'm gonna agree with you in a roundabout way. I'm thankful for Creed because Alter Bridge.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, no doubt, Alter Bridge was probably a better band. And mind you, I've seen Alter Bridge twice. I think Alter Bridge is great. But in the end, there are still fewer Alter Bridge songs that I will actually seek out to listen to than there are Creed songs I will seek out to listen to. Even though I've seen Alter Bridge twice, and I mean, I will give credit where it's due, and I think it's not up for debate. Myles Kennedy is a better singer than Scott Stapp ever was. Myles Kennedy is a better musician overall than most people in the rock and metal game right now. The man is so much better than he ever really shows off. You just occasionally get these weird little snippets of just how good he really is. Yeah, he's unreal.
I'm thankful for the way that you embrace Creed with arms wide open.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is my sacrifice so the rest of you don't have to make it.
Fuck. Can that just be the rest of the episode? Is just Creed puns? That would put this podcast 6 feet under. But maybe 6 feet ain't so far down.
I was gonna say we could probably take the puns a little higher.
Oh, we probably could.
Anyway, no, let's get out of my own prison here of bad Creed puns. I'm done. I'm genuinely done. Let's get out of here. I'm gonna throw in another really stupid one before you go on. This is a straight up, I am thankful for something stupid. I am thankful for, and I mentioned this song before, our buddy Devin in a band project that he called The Down Above. You can find this song on Spotify and on YouTube. The Down Above, the song is called Pumpkin Pie, and I'm fairly certain it was just him getting high and then mumbling for 4 minutes, "Give me some pumpkin pie. I'm tired of mashed potatoes." Like, that's basically the entire song, and I love it. It is such a great song to put on repeat while I'm at work and just let it go. It is... I want to say it ended up being my top song on Spotify last year. If it wasn't my top 1, it was like top 5 somewhere. Just because it's a song that is just so good to throw on repeat. And we need more Thanksgiving songs, man, and since the best thing about Thanksgiving is pumpkin pie, we need more songs about pumpkin pie. So I'm thankful that I know someone who wrote a unique one.
I really like at the end, I don't know who it is, but when the second voice comes in and there's like,
yeah, I don't know who she was.
In the background, there's like trying to reason with him that maybe he'd like some more mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
that like, song ends you liked with mashed potatoes. I'm tired of mashed potatoes.
Yeah, it ends with like in the background you hear him, and I don't know who she is, some other voice, like almost bickering about why he wants pumpkin pie. It's so stupid, and it is just such a beautiful song. I need to send him a message again and just say, like, hey, reminder, I love this stupid song of yours. Chris,
All-time classic.
You can go ahead.
How many more do you have?
I have one more, and then I have one that might turn into a little bit of a conversation.
Okay, cool, because I only have two more as well.
Perfect.
And I think both of the other ones kind of, like, loop back to that same, like, I don't like this period of thing, but I'm thankful that it existed anyways, I guess.
Totally fine. That's valid.
But I am thankful that even if I'm not a big fan of recent Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor just knows how to make a fucking soundscape.
Yeah, and he's also, I think, getting to that point where I'm just glad he's around still, right?
He seems genuinely happy, and I'm glad.
Yes.
That's great. I'm glad that he's, like, not on drugs, and, like, on a personal standpoint, I would much rather he be like happy and, you know, successful at life than, you know, miserable doing drugs and making great music again. But
yes.
On that note, like, even the stuff that I don't like when I listen to it, I'm just like, he's, like, so good at, like, taking what would be abrasive noise in anything else and making it, like, just palatable enough to get on mainstream radio.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, give credit where it's due, yeah.
And just putting things in, like, the background of songs that, like, just adding chaos to stuff. When I watch live videos, they sound, like, just as good, but also chaotic live, you know?
Trent Reznor is one of those people who is very good at utilizing noise.
Yes, that's a perfect way of putting it.
It's not necessarily always musical in a traditional sense, but he makes it musical among the rest of what he's doing. He is... Right. That is a totally different talent that I don't think many people have, even though a lot of people pretend they have it.
Well, there's, you know, noise rock can sound like lots of things, Jeff, but he's good at making it in a way that is still accessible. I don't want to say
he makes it very,
because it's not quite there, but it's accessible.
But he makes it accessible. Yeah, accessible I think is the best word for it.
Yeah.
You know, again, there's a reason that he is getting airplay and whatnot. Like, there's a reason he is as successful as he is. Which, and I've mentioned this idea to you before. I don't know if I ever said it on the podcast. You know, whenever you look at something that's popular, right? There's a few ways you can look at it.
Yeah.
There's the whole, is it popular because it's simple and accessible and easy and therefore it's not good? Is it popular because it's just accessible enough that people can approach it? Or is it successful because it's genuinely the best at what it is? And I think I could make the argument that Nine Inch Nails is among the most successful, like, industrial bands because he's among the best at what he does. It's not because he you know, sold out or because it's simple or something. I genuinely think it's because he is just that damn good at making noise musical. And I mean, you can apply that thought to anything. You know, I mean, like, the biggest name right now is Taylor Swift, and you have a lot of people who love to bash her and just say, like, oh well, yeah, there's that statistic that's like 60 of her songs use the same 4 chords or whatever. So it's like, oh, it's only popular because it's simple. And I don't know, I think I'm gonna argue that, like, it's popular because she's basically the best at what she does. She knows her target audience. She knows just how much of herself to put in the music that it keeps, like, her story. Like, she builds a lore of mystery around herself. And, like, that takes some thought and planning. I think she's huge because she's damn good at what she does. Obviously, she's not alone. There's a lot of other people involved and whatever. And I don't care that she had a silver spoon in her mouth as a child. Irrelevant. She's very good at what she does. Give credit where it's due. I'll say it for the 3rd time this episode.
I'm gonna take that whole rant you did and cut it at, I think she's basic. And then I'm gonna bring it back in at, I think she's huge.
I have my next one here. And again, this is kind of leading into, like, I think this is a fairly unpopular opinion. Not in the circles that I run in, but among the overall population. I am who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I love those bad Christmas albums that are obviously just like a cash grab, right? Like when you take someone and they record like 10 standard Christmas songs that have been sung by a million people. Nobody needs to hear Brad Paisley singing another version of the Christmas song or Jingle Bells, but here it is. I love those because every once in a while you stumble on either an album that's just really, really good, surprisingly, or if nothing else, just like one song that the arrangement's really good. But specifically, I want to give a shout out. Did you know that Smash Mouth has a Christmas album?
Oh, I think I did.
It's called The Gift of Rock. It's from 2005, I think. So it's like after their peak popularity, but before they have like become meme popular, right? So it came out, and I genuinely think a lot of people have no clue that this exists. But it's still like in their prime goofiness. Like they did, I don't know if you know the song Zat You, Santa Claus. It was a Louis Armstrong song originally. It's a fun and ridiculous song, and I think Smash Mouth absolutely does it justice. They do such a ridiculous fun cover of this song. And it's just overall, it's just a really fun album. But like Lynyrd Skynyrd have a Christmas album that I don't think anyone realizes exists. And it's exactly what you think it's going to be. It's like a southern rock, bluesy, honky-tonk Christmas album. It's a lot of fun. Is it blowing anyone's mind? Probably not. But it's still nice to be able to change it up, because for people who say they hate Christmas music, turn off Andy Williams for once, alright, and try putting on something else. There's more out there. But I am absolutely thankful for just like silly, stupid Christmas albums that really didn't need to exist. And I know most people hate them, but I think they're so fun.
I mean, I want to argue with you, and I want to be afraid of what you might come up with for the Christmas special. No, I'm just
okay.
going. I'm just saying, but like, how can I when one of my favorite Christmas albums is "We Wish You a Metal Christmas"?
Oh my god, because it's so fun.
If you need something harder than rock, then you might need like Silent Night being Death Growled by Chuck Billy from Testament. That might be what you need.
As we have called it before, the loudest version of Silent Night. It is absolutely hilarious. And there's no way they were in the studio recording this and not laughing their asses off at how ridiculous it is.
I mean, it's Scott Ian. You know he was fucking laughing his ass off.
It's so damn funny, and it's like so inappropriate sounding, but it's hysterical, and like you can feel how fun it was to do this ridiculous recording of Silent Night.
And as a bonus, you get Jeff Tate sounding like a dying cat.
And you get Jeff Tate singing Silver Bells, and it is in his worst vocal shape of his career. Like, they picked the single worst year to get Jeff Tate to sing something. He is singing straight through his nose with, like, a Brooklyn accent. It is absolutely atrocious. I am glad to know that you've shown me more recently that he's gotten back into vocal shape and he sounds pretty damn good again. But that version of Silver Bells hurts.
Yeah.
Especially because that's one of my favorite Christmas songs, man. So hearing steady sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressing holiday style is, oh my god, it hurts. I hate it.
And the way he vibratos on that song just is like
so bad.
Dressing holiday style.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can't even emulate his vibrato on that. It's you got to listen to it. Like I think everyone needs to experience that.
I'm thankful for everyone who fucking smokes their voice away and then quits smoking and gets it back. Speaking of which, let's talk about Halloween for a second.
Oh, is that a thing? Let's talk about them.
Well, Kai Hansen, the singer for Halloween on their first album, who went on to Gamma Ray, smoked his voice away. But you know who didn't? It's Michael Kiske. He sounds great still.
Does he?
Yeah, and he even said in an interview, someone asked him, how have you kept your voice this long? And I think it was a jab at Kai at the time. He said, I'm one of the only people from that scene who never started smoking.
I will say it constantly. I am baffled by singers who smoke.
Yeah.
Like, it is, like, there is so much irrefutable proof that you are doing nothing but damaging your voice. I can't understand why you would do that to yourself. Ugh.
Jeff, it was the 80s. They were probably still saying that asbestos was healthy or something. Who knows? Anyway.
Anyway, Chris.
Here's my stupid point about Halloween is that I'm thankful for Michael Kiske after Kai Hansen left, which is an obscure and dead point at this time. But it's a hill I feel like dying on today, as did many people during the Thanksgiving wars of the founding of America. Died on a hill.
What?
Probably. Some of them, for sure.
Anyway.
I had to tie it back to Thanksgiving because the band's about Halloween. Anyway.
I don't know what to do with what you just said.
So, I had to make it entertaining because I'm about to tell a really boring, like, band members leaving story.
Oh, Jesus Christ, here we go.
Anyway, after Kai Hansen left Halloween, he was, like, the main writer, and, you know, all of the band, like, occasionally wrote songs, but the main writer leaves, so everyone's, like, writing, you know... Essentially, you're getting 4 different people writing 4 different albums and shit like that on these next 2 Halloween albums without him. But it was common for several years when Michael Kiske like left. I don't know if you know this. He just left metal as a genre. He just like turned his back and like became like a rock singer and like a folk singer and like put out some Christian albums and shit like that.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So basically, there was like a mutual turning their back on each other in terms of like Michael Kiske and the metal audience, right? And for years, he was blamed for those shitty albums until he, like, came back and, like, now no one talks about this period, right?
Okay.
Because now he's back in the band and it doesn't really matter and everyone's cool again. But, like, for years, like, there was, like, feuding between him and the members and, like, the fans would always be like, oh, yeah, he ruined Halloween and shit. I argue if you look at the albums that he was on without Kai, he wrote the best fucking songs on those albums. And I'll die on that.
I'm assuming that is a hot take, then. Like, that sounds like a hot take.
I don't think so. I think people just don't look at who wrote what songs. I mean, the 2 albums aren't considered very good, but I think anyone would say like this song is the best song on the album. And if you look, it's like he fucking wrote that.
I mean,
he fucking ruined the band.
With the exception of like the Beatles, I don't think people look at who actually wrote songs in most cases anyway. Like it's really not a thing people do anymore. Although I do think for the most part, I think a lot of bands now kind of have like the primary songwriter. Like that seems to be just how it works. We don't really have like, well, at least it's not well known. We don't have bands that openly talk about like, oh yeah, well that's one of his songs and that's one of their songs and that's one of this songs and whatever. That's not a thing that gets discussed anymore, and I feel like it should be.
I feel like in more common or the more common thing for bands to do, and I'm kind of talking out of my ass from like what I see, obviously, but it seems like the more common thing is that everyone's job is their instrument now. Like the fucking guitarist writes the guitar parts, but they don't have people who compose the entire song as much anymore. Unless it's like one person does everything.
Yes, it's or you have the bands where it's like, oh yeah, I basically wrote the outline of this song, just like with your instrument, fill in the gaps. But like, there's a lot of that. Like, there's a lot of bands that exist because the front person is the writer, or at least one member is like the primary writer of the music. Like that is a big portion of modern music still. Anyway, Chris. Okay, I know we're in Thanksgiving. Like, I'm not trying to jump the gun here. This is not a Christmas episode. But because I am in the overall holiday spirit, right? Like, my Christmas tree's been up since November 1st.
I hate that.
Okay? It's beautiful, it's wonderful, and we love it. And it's great. Like, it's in the window, so, like, you can see it from the road. Oh, it's awesome. But because of that, I have been listening to a lot of, and I am a sucker for those stupid novelty songs. And this is something I want to ask you about. Like, I'm curious what your thoughts on this are.
Okay.
Because here's the problem with a lot of novelty songs, right?
Yeah.
These songs that are written to be funny and stupid and silly. And that is any song more than, like, 10 years old at any given time. You can go to any time frame, go back 10 years, you're running the risk of feeling very dated. In some cases, dated to the point of offensive in some people's minds, right?
Okay.
So, for example, there is the parody of Walking in a Winter Wonderland, which is walking around in women's underwear.
Yeah,
Do you know this?
vaguely. I think you've played it for me.
It's a dumb parody song that exists.
Yeah.
It's about men dressing in women's underwear. It's basically men dressing in drag. It's not the most offensive thing in the world, but I mean, I personally know people who find it distasteful, and I can completely see why. Don't get me wrong, like I get it. It's in pretty poor taste. It's a little weird. But listening to these novelty songs, especially ones that I found funny as a kid or as a teenager, listening to them now in my 30s, I'm still enjoying them because I feel like a kid listening to them. I can accept that they're not necessarily appropriate, but I am thankful for that weird feeling of nostalgia that I get from some of these.
Yeah. Well, because you know that first off, humor changes. It's just that's just the way it
Absolutely.
is. Humor just changes with every couple years, and things that are funny now will be offensive in 10 years, even though, people are already complaining that, things are too sanitized. And I think there's something to be said about that. I don't know necessarily that people are too sensitive, but it seems like people are taking some jokes too seriously these days. And I think those novelty songs, for the most part, fall into that category of like something, someone made a line 10 years ago that did, it aged like fine milk. And
Yeah.
but at the time, like, it was said with just, completely silly, non-serious intentions, and the fact that this is like, a currently like something that is a big deal in culture today, like no one had that in mind 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And God forbid, I mean, the further you go back, you're getting some of these songs that are worse. Like there's one, and this is one that I don't listen to it all the time because it's not like a great song, but if I need that feeling of being a kid again, I'm like 9 or 10 years old, right? Like family has like first PC and like sending songs via email, like, hey everybody, pass along how funny this is like a thing that people do, right? So we had an MP3 or whatever of a song called The Hat I Got for Christmas Is Too Big. It's sung by Mel Blanc, like the Looney Tunes voice actor. And it's literally done in like the little Speedy Gonzalez style, like little Mexican kid voice. The hat I got for Christmas is too big. It's nice, but my sombrero is too big. Like, it's really dumb. And I can absolutely picture people being bothered by it. The problem is I can picture people who probably shouldn't be bothered by it. Meanwhile, like, when I was a kid, my cousins who are Mexican would sing it with me. Like, they thought it was hysterical. But, like, whatever. It's a stupid little song. And just, like, I hear it, and I'm just, like, immediately, like, a little kid in, like, the family computer room, because that was a thing y'all did in the 90s. You had a computer room, okay? I'm, like, a little kid in the computer room listening to it on the little Boston speakers, which I still have for the record. Like, it's just such a perfect little amount of stupid goofiness. And part of me always feels a little guilty listening to some of these songs because they seem vaguely inappropriate to varying degrees. And then there's ones that are totally unintentional. Weird Al has It's Christmas at Ground Zero. Now, mind you, Ground Zero post 9/11 is referring to the site of the Twin Towers. Before that, Ground Zero was just like the hypothetical scenario of where the first nuclear bomb would fall.
Well, yeah, and if you actually like even take a passing glance at the lyrics, I'm pretty sure that they all reference that it's like a nuclear ground zero.
Yeah, they do, but it is a song that like has kind of taken on a different meaning.
If you just look at the title, yeah.
Or there's the 12 Pains of Christmas, and I'm drawing a blank on who did the 12 Pains of Christmas. But it's, a parody of the 12 Days of Christmas, and I forget which day it is. It's like the 4th day of Christmas, maybe. They have a voice of a man, a very effeminate man. His pain of Christmas is sending Christmas cards, right? Like it's the very over-the-top gay lisp voice.
Yeah.
I can fully imagine there are people who are not appreciating that because it feels like it's making fun of a gay man. But like, I'm listening to it just like, it's just trying to be silly and stupid, and that was the humor at the time. This song, as far as I'm aware, is older than I am. I don't even know when this song was written. And I have a weird mixture feeling of thankfulness and this is weird when it comes to novelty songs. I'm thankful for stupid novelty songs. As someone who grew up on Weird Al, I love this. And Weird Al and the Dr. Demento show. Like, I love this kind of stuff. But I've been very conscious of it lately, listening to these Christmas novelty songs and how strange some of them are when you take them in a modern context, right?
Yeah, but I mean, and that's the thing, though, is that I think as a piece from the time that it comes from, it shouldn't be taken in a modern context, and I think that's where I have, issues with a lot of, like, people who do get, worked up over, oh, here's a comedy bit from the 80s or 90s. I mean, I joke about it all the time, but, like, Eddie Murphy got fucking famous from a skit where he opened the show talking about the F-slur for several minutes.
He straight up walked out on stage, and the first thing he says is that.
And now he's like the highest paid fucking family actor of all time or some shit. So, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think, Jeff, that you need to be guilty or feel guilty for enjoying those songs. I think what you need to do and what the audience needs to do is to go down in the comments and leave a frowny face for those impressions of the songs that Jeff did. Don't criticize or anything, just frowny faces. I just want to see frowny faces.
I want F's in the chat, everybody.
F's in chat.
F's for thankful, alright?
Thankful.
That's what I want.
We put the full in thankful.
Thank you, I was just about to say that.
Is that all of your thankfulnesses?
That is all of my thankfulness. Thank
you. Give me... Jeff, do you want to play a quick game of what have you been listening to?
I would love to. Are you prepared? Because you never are.
No.
All right.
In fact, I'm going to change the game when it gets to my turn.
Oh. Okay. Listen. All right, so hear me out here. I'm
ready.
not one... I don't believe in guilty pleasure music, right? Like what you like. I openly talked about the fact that my most listened to thing last time was Cher's Christmas album.
How dare you?
However, I am slightly hesitant to admit that according to Spotify stats,
you didn't
over the last 4 weeks.
You didn't listen to what I think you did you?
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you are not going to see this one coming.
Okay.
My number one artist has been Hatsune Miku.
Oh.
And I don't know how I feel about that. There's just something about it that doesn't feel right to me.
You know what?
But I've been on a big kick of just, like, Vocaloid music, I guess? I think it's Cher's fault, right? Like, I think Cher's...
It's gotta be Cher's fault. It has to be Cher's fault.
Well, Cher's overly auto-tuned vocals, I think, put me in the mood for... You sound like you're singing into a fan. I think her overly auto-tuned vocals put me in the mood for even more artificial vocals. And I have listened to so much Hatsune Miku lately. And of course a ton of Pumpkin Pie by The Down Above, because it's a great song.
You know what? I'll give that album of the year. But as disappointing as it is to hear that you're listening to Miku, I am thankful that your top artist isn't the Tarja Christmas album. I was so fucking scared.
No, it's horrified. Not good.
It's bad, but I was just scared it was one of those things. You ever just listen to something out of hate?
I listened to that album once. I put it on once, and it was bad. And for context, we are talking, how does she say her name?
I say Tarja. I don't know how she says it.
Because for almost 20 years, I have been pronouncing her name as Tarja Taryunin, and I do not have a clue if that's accurate, because she is not my favorite vocalist from Nightwish. But when she left Nightwish, because she has a giant head, apparently, from what many people say, she continued that streak, and she released her second album of dark Christmas music. But, like, it's not even interesting dark Christmas music. Like, she is straight up out here singing Frosty the Snowman, but she tries to make it sound as, like, brooding and deep as possible. And it's like, bitch, you're singing Frosty the Snowman. I can't take her seriously at all. Unlike Chuck Billy in the studio, who's probably laughing his ass off, screaming Silent Night, I guarantee Tarya's out here taking herself way too goddamn seriously.
What was my quote? Like, I know she put the back of her hand to her forehead dramatically while she sang this.
Oh, I forget what song it was, but yeah, you know she was rolling on the ground going, oh, woe is me. Oh my god. For being genuinely, she's a phenomenal vocalist, but like, oh god. It's so bordering insufferable to listen to. So no, I gave that album one listen to and I have not touched it since. No, I've been listening to, I'm still on a big Brian Setzer kick.
Okay.
And a lot of Hatsune Miku for some reason. I also tried giving George Thorogood a listen.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of those artists who, like, I know a handful of songs and I know that he's, like, important, but I don't know if I've ever really sat down and just, like, listened to him. And I listened to a few albums through. I get what people see in him, but I'm not sure if he's quite clicking with me yet.
Yeah.
But I feel like someday he will. Right? Like, I'm listening to the music thinking,
you gotta hit that right mood.
I'm not ready for this right now, but I think at the right time, this is gonna just, like, really strike me the right way.
I think you have to be 45.
Yeah, I just might not be old enough, right?
I think you have to be 45 to get George Thorogood. It strikes me as like the 45th year on this planet it'll click.
Okay, I gotcha.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I gotcha.
Like, you can still enjoy a little bit of, like, I Drink Alone and Bad to the Bone, but you're not going to really understand the depth of them until middle age. Like, a little past middle age.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll give him a try again in about 10 years. Now, I'll periodically put him back on and see, because I feel like there's something there. It's just not clicking yet.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you said you're changing up the game here. What did you do? What have you done?
My most listened to is the new Mountain Goats album, and I also listened to a lot of the new Poppy album. Those are the only new albums that came out since the last time that we've talked. I've also listened to quite a bit of, like, the usual suspects, Not Arctica, Devin Townsend. There's some Pink Floyd in there.
Yeah, of course.
I've been listening to a little bit Judas Priest. Jeff, do you maybe want to go see Judas Priest next year?
Do they have a date?
They are going to be in Cleveland, Ohio in April on a Saturday.
That is possible.
It's going to be at the place I saw Alice Cooper.
Cool.
So I'm thinking, like, I'm going to see what tickets are. Tickets are, like, going on sale next week, but I'm not even going to worry about this until after New Year's.
Okay.
So,
get back to me on that. That might be a good time.
But yeah, it's like going to be an hour drive on a Saturday in April.
That's not bad. That might be doable.
Late April. So
that sounds like a good time to me. Cool.
Okay. But Jeff, do you have a Thanksgiving playlist?
You know what? I don't, because I don't like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
not a big
like
fan of it either.
Much of anything about Thanksgiving. As I've mentioned already, the only thing about Thanksgiving I genuinely really like is the pumpkin pie. So no, I don't have a Thanksgiving playlist. I feel like I should, but I'm really struggling for ideas of what should go on it.
Oh, do you want me to read you my Thanksgiving playlist?
Oh God, where are we? Okay, I guess. What did you do?
I got Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden. I got Indians by Anthrax.
They're
I got
all songs about
Blood
people killing Native
by
Americans.
Testament. I got As Long as the Grass Shall Grow by Johnny Cash, which, mentioned some local areas, Jeff.
Oh my God.
I got New World by Robert Plant. They're going to fade out to this. We got Apache Tears by Johnny Cash. We got Indian Sunset by Elton John.
Oh my God.
You know what's unfortunate, Jeff, is that they took Pocahontas by Neil Young off of Spotify.
Oh, you're the worst.